and welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. I had to look back at the board to remember that. So the Islanders win a night after they gave me my Joker moment, which was Barzal getting hurt, thankfully not severely, as we found out. The Islanders looking just horrible, completely dysfunctional. They were just not skating, not prepared to meet the level that LA brought. And then they kind of flipped the script. And let me tell you, look, the Jokerization, that never goes away. That sticks with you. It's still in the back of my head. And it's still frustrating because the last two games really are representative of the whole season, which is win one, lose one, win one, lose one. What the hell is going on? Please, God, find some consistency. And the Islanders tonight, without Matt Barzal, without Zdeno Chara, played really, really well. They were skating really well. It's funny that the shots are so lopsided. It didn't feel like that in the game. The Islanders in the first period, I think with Chara out and Green in, they just looked quicker in their own zone. And, please stick with this, Barry. Because, it is something to have a guy back there that isn't an anchor 24/7. And Andy Green, he isn't a guy that's just, you're like, he isn't moving. What's going on? And it, the game doesn't seem to have passed him by in the way that it has Zdeno Chara. And Andy Green got rewarded for that tonight. But earlier in the game, the Islanders, in an offensive zone faceoff, Kyle Palmieri, I believe he whiffed on the first shot, but he does a good job of tracking the puck back down as he's looked better recently, just skating better, winning the puck, wins the puck battle here. Poke check gets it back to the point. Noah Dobson rips one. Islanders get some flyby traffic, and it's a short side rip for Noah Dobson, 9 on the year, and I think he's at like 26 points. So for Noah Dobson, it is great to see how the offensive game has grown. I still think in the defensive zone, it's kind of an adventure, and I think not being partnered with Zdeno Chara would be helpful more often for that, because I do feel like Dobson has to kind of patrol the whole D zone sometimes since Chara isn't really moving. So 1-0 Islanders there. That's the way the first period would end. But in the second period, they continue kind of just to grind away at Anaheim. And Anaheim didn't, despite the shot totals, it's amazing that they had 34 because it didn't really feel like it. Ilya Sorokin had a couple of pretty nice saves here and there. Played, I think, positionally, just a game that's miles ahead of, some of the recent games he's played, where he just didn't make anything look extremely difficult because he was playing his position really well. He had a big save in the first period on, I think it was before we scored, kind of just a one-timer down low, and he got the arm or the elbow on it. That was the big save in the first period. He was just steady the whole game, did a really good job, and I barely noticed, any flaw in his game last night. That was awesome to see. So, Casey Cizikas gets the second on his birthday, which was great. But Ross Johnston does a lot of the work, and the Anaheim Ducks do a lot of the work as well. Anaheim had two players. It looked like they had too many men, and they didn't know who should go off, so both of them went off. And so Ross Johnston goes, okay, I'm going to take the space, goes up the ice, delivers a nice pass on a 2-on-1 to Casey Cizikas, who beat the man guarding him, and it's 2-0, and all of a sudden, ooh, wow, Ross Johnston skating well, which is nice to see. They gave Matt Martin the night off. I think it's probably fair to criticize the fact that Barry hasn't done this a little bit more often with, Char had to get hurt for Barry to take him out of the lineup, and it really feels like the Islanders were a lot more dynamic in this game. Still probably, I don't know if that's, that's the difference between us and the playoffs is Zdeno Chara just not playing as much. But I do actually think it cost us a few points having, to kill off penalties that Zdeno Chara, I'm saying his full name constantly, that Chara has committed. So 2-0 there. Third period, Islanders looking to put it away, facing a bit of an onslaught from Anaheim. But again, onslaught in terms of like just a lot of shots, but not like highest quality. So very much an Islander game. Where they give up a decent amount of shots, but it's not like crazy difficult for Sorokin. And Andy Green kind of caps this one off. Ross Johnson gets his second point of the night. I was yelling at him to shoot. He does a really good job of being patient, finding the extra pass out to the wing to Andy Green, who's pinching. And Andy Green, I didn't think he had much room to shoot this, absolutely rips it short side on Stolarz. And that was really cool to see. Just because the guy sat 6 straight games, I don't really think he's... if I were him, I'd be kind of frustrated because I feel like, hey, I'm better than Chara. I should be playing. And so hopefully this, kind of forces Barry's hand a little bit and goes, all right, Andy Green, definitely better than Chara. He's more flexible. He skates better. He's not taking penalties, Andy Green, and gets a goal for it. And then Kiefer Bellows, just a good way to end the night because, I haven't noticed much of Wahlstrom recently. Bellows, not much. Bellows has been fine. But getting on the score sheet, I really want to see them rewarded for some effort. And though I didn't notice much of Wahlstrom tonight, he did have one in the third period, a really nice drive to the net that didn't end up going in, but it's kind of the thing. I'm like, come on, give me more of that, Wally. Because you can't just be a sit in the place and snipe type of guy. You need to be able to get your feet moving and skate, and he did that on that play. Wahlstrom did. And on this one, Kiefer Bellows does that and gets rewarded at the end of it because Kiefer Bellows pokes it past the last defenseman. Not a great play from the Anaheim defenseman, but also a really, really nice play by Bellows just to be aggressive. I feel like a lot of Islanders there, I don't know, maybe just would have poked it ahead. They still might have poked it ahead and gone after it, but, kind of like a mini dump and chase. Kiefer Bellows more direct, pokes it towards the middle of the ice, gets past the defender, and then just rifles it over the shoulder, the left shoulder of Stolarz, and this game was over already, and that was just a nice thing. It was just a nice thing. Islanders fans deserve to see that after this frustrating year. Islanders, power play wasn't much, but without Barzal, I guess that makes sense. They did have one cut short because of penalties. Early in this game, lots of penalties. Islanders got to be definitely more disciplined. But, the PK bails them out, Sorokin bails them out, and the Islanders win. So I believe they get Colorado next, and then Vancouver. So they're continuing this Western road trip, and they haven't looked terrible. They did. In LA they looked horrible, but it's a weird middle ground where they're not going anywhere. But I still just don't want to see what I saw in LA again. So Islanders win without Barzal. Hopefully this forces the hand in terms of lineup changes. Once Barzy gets back, get Bailey back out because Bellows and Wahlstrom, despite not being ever present on the score sheet, I think they're gaining some confidence here and gaining some valuable ice time. In the defensive zone, Aho, he keeps getting points. They're not always it's kind of like the Josh Bailey point, as people say, where he passes it from 200 feet away to one guy who passes it to another guy who goes all the way and scores. So it's funny, you can get a point without doing much. But he has not been as terrible defensively recently. He had a really bad Canadiens game, and then I think he's been better since then. But still, it's better than having Chara on the ice, for sure, in my opinion. So that's it. We'll see you next time on Belmont Bunch. Goodbye.